to my video series, The Heroine's Journey. I'm Susanna Liller, and it's time to find your happiness. This video is about the belly of the whale. And I have to tell you, I have a love-hate relationship with the belly of the whale. It's something that comes into your life and upends you, turns you upside down, pulls the rug out from under your feet. You're going along and whoosh, everything changes. And it's a necessary step on the journey because sometimes we need to see things differently. We need a different perspective. So we have to be shaken up a bit. We have to be turned upside down, or else we'll just stay in the old paradigm, stay in the old way of thinking and being. But it's not necessarily fun. It can be very upsetting. The term was coined by Joseph Campbell, the mythologist. As he studied stories, he found a lot of stories where the characters, stories, myths, old tales, where the main character had been swallowed up. And the one that most comes to mind for people is the story of Jonah and the whale, which is in the Old Testament Bible and in the Hebrew Bible. And it's the story of this guy, Jonah, who God tapped him on the shoulder and said, I want you to go to Nineveh and preach to the people there because they're really misbehaving. And Jonah didn't want to. So he ran away and he got on a ship and he took off in the opposite direction. And then he got the wake-up call because things started happening on the ship and it was a very bad voyage, and the sailors kind of cast lots to see who's responsible for this bad luck we're having, and it was Jonah. So he jumped off the ship and said, I'll save you and make sure that the voyage goes better if I just get out of here. And when he jumps, a whale is there and the whale swallows him up. And he spends 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly. And if you know anything about myth and fairy tale, that's kind of the magical number 3. And the whale ends up spitting him out on the shore of the place that God wanted him to go to in the first place, where he does what God wants. Eventually, there's some more kind of wrestling with it, but yeah, so the story of Jonah being swallowed up, and then he does see things differently as a result of his journey and wants to do what God has asked of him, which you could call his calling. But as Campbell points out to us, there are stories like this in all cultures. So there is the Eskimo hero Raven, and Raven swallowed by a whale as well. And then there are the Zulus, and 2 children and the children's mom swallowed by an elephant. And in another old story, Finn McCool, the Irish hero, is swallowed by a monster. Little Red Riding Hood, German fairy tale, swallowed by a wolf. And Maui, the Polynesian hero, who we learn about so delightfully in the Disney movie Moana, he gets swallowed up by his great-great-grandmother. And then the old Greek gods got swallowed up by their dad, Cronus, except he didn't swallow Zeus. So a lot of swallowing in storytelling, and it is about going into a dark place, into the belly, where things are digested and processed and transformed in the belly. And we have to be too. It's almost like you're dying to an old life so that you can be reborn, an old way of being you and birthing you into a new iteration. It's Harris, Reg Harris and his co-author Marge Thompson, in their book about the hero's journey, they write that, Susan Thompson, they write that the journey is like being taken apart and being reassembled. During the process, ineffective parts of our character are discarded, and stronger, more capable elements emerge. So it really is like a time when you feel like you're being taken apart, that you're being thrown upside down and shaken. And what I'm saying, what the stories say, is it can be a very good thing, because you do then see things differently, and usually for the better. So then it's, well, okay, fine, Susanna. I hear that this can be a good thing, that it's probably necessary if you want to grow, and you take the journey, you answer the call because you do want to grow. So it's like, good, this is happening, growing pains. I'm all for it. But it can be very uncomfortable, disconcerting, make you feel really terrible at the time. So then again, how do you cope? So let's talk about this emotional first aid kit. So it's things that you want to remember, particularly when you're in that dark womb place where you're being regurgitated and transformed. So there are categories you can put in there. So any kind of words of encouragement that you've ever received, a good email or a good text message or a card that you might have gotten, start collecting them, start putting them into your emotional first aid kit. Or maybe it's what I know to be true about myself. I'm a good mom. I am a good friend. Whatever those things are that you know, maybe this has happened, that has happened, but I know these things to be true about me. And then things that you want to do for yourself, almost like a recipe card, what you want to do when you totally forget who you are and lost your bearings, and you're in the worst of it, you are in the pit. So whatever works for you that helps you, and you just make a list. So it would be, maybe I want to take a bath, or take a nap, or some of the ones that have been suggested, wash your face with warm water, take a deep breath, and then take 2 deep breaths. And it would be something that you'd have listed, which you'd keep in your first aid kit, that you could take out and say, okay, I'm centering myself. This is what I need to do. And it will be different for everybody. Maybe it's call a friend. So an emotional first aid kit, just like a regular first aid kit that you keep in the glove box of your car, that you may never need until you cut your finger and need a Band-Aid out of there. It's the same thing, but it's really a good booster. Even if you're having a regular old day and you're not in the belly of the whale, to just read some of those things, because we forget, we really forget the nice things that people say about us. There's another thing, there are questions that you can answer and keep on a sheet of paper so you have it to remember, and it's called What I Know to Be True. And it's sort of like what I know about myself, but what I know to be true is a list that you answer ahead of time. And then again, you can keep it in your first aid kit or just have it around so you can look at it. Examples, and it can be whatever, again, works for you. But one could be one person who loves me. And that could even be your dog. One personal quality that I have that is special. So what is something that people always tell you is so great about you? And if you're sitting there thinking, no one's ever telling me anything, well, what do you know to be true? You have a personal quality that's you're a good listener, or you always respond with the truth. Write that down. Something that makes you laugh. So remind yourself, what are things that make you laugh? And my mind goes to different movies and different parts of movies that make me laugh out loud. There's so much now great fun stuff on YouTube that you can find that makes you laugh. And of course, you can do this electronically, keep a record with all the links that you need right on your computer. Doesn't have to be on a piece of paper. One way that I take good care of myself that seems to really work, and it doesn't have to be a big thing or a hard thing. For me, it's when I remember to drink water, because I'm not a very good water drinker. So when I remember to do that, and I do it, and I would do it if I was in a bad place, and all of us go to a bad place. It's part of life. Then I would put down, one way I take good care of myself is drinking water. One thing I like about where I live, and if you don't like it very much, I'm sure there's one thing you can find, or maybe two, or maybe three. So it's just about reminding yourself of what's good in your life and about you and about what other people have noticed, because it's there. I know it about you. I know that I would be able to help you find different ways to remember these things, to comfort you when you're in being disassembled in the belly of the whale, which again is, let's remember, a good thing. It's a good thing. We have to have times when we're turned upside down, so we see things differently, see ourselves differently. Recognize that maybe we're not doing everything the best way for us. And we're going along, our heads are down, we're doing our thing, and then the rug gets pulled out, and oh, well, maybe that isn't really helping me, what I'm doing. Or maybe that job isn't the best for me. And this whole pandemic reassessment that people have done about their jobs, but about their lives, it's been uncomfortable and disconcerting and very, very difficult. But a lot of people are, again, reassembling themselves in a way that's better for them. So I have made peace with the belly of the whale. And when you think about it, you know, everything that's happened to you, if you took one thing away, you wouldn't be the person you are today. And I would say that person is a good person, and you would want all those things that contributed, the good as well as the bad, that made you into who you are, this most current iteration of awesome you. Another coping mechanism is filling your well. So you have got to give to yourself and allow yourself things that give to you. Women particularly know how well to give to other people, put themselves last, everybody else comes first. So again, little things. Allow yourself to take a break and go to that art museum maybe you've wanted to go to, or read that book that you've wanted to read, or buy yourself some flowers at the grocery store. The first thing before you buy all the food for you. Buy some really nice scented soap, or take a bath and do things that give to you. You are worth it. You deserve it. And you need to fill your own well, or you will be like me, dehydrated without not enough water. And everything starts going haywire if you don't keep your well filled. And also it just sets a really good example from the people around you, with the people around you. And always, I would say, if you need to go ask for help to a therapist because of your particular belly of the whale experience, then that's always an option. So remember, they don't last. You will get through it. I would hope that we've talked together enough that you would have the thought that, oh, well, maybe even when you're in the darkest moment of it, you might have the thought, oh, maybe this is a growth spurt. Maybe this is going to be good for me, even though it's so awful now. Maybe it's going to end up being a good thing. That would be a real plus, because again, the heroine always has a choice of how she wants to view what's happening to her. And she can view it as a calamity or an opportunity, or an opportunity that she will see in the future. Maybe she's not seeing it in the moment. So belly of the whale. And again, knowing about the journey and knowing that this is not every journey, but that it can appear, lets you know, okay, it's not, I'm the only one that ever has been through this, or it's life is picking on me. It's a part of the journey. It's part of accepting your call and going into the unknown. And this might happen. And if it does, oh, well, okay, what can I learn from this? And oh my goodness, at some point saying, thank God it happened, or I wouldn't be who I am today and have had what happened to me turn out the way it did because I had to go to that gosh darn belly of the whale place. So if you're there, you have some coping mechanisms, make sure you put together an emotional first aid kit and think about the things you would do that you know about yourself to be true, and make a list. And maybe the most important thing is fill your well. With the women that I work with, I give them this assignment at the end of every lesson in my course to fill the well. One thing, every lesson, one thing. And it's the hardest thing I ask them to do. And I don't know why that is, but I think we think it's selfish. And really it's one of the most important things you can do to help yourself and help others is to give to yourself. Thank you for being with me in the belly of the whale, heroine. And I look forward to the next video and where we're going next, which, oh my gosh, it's to the abyss. But we will survive together. We will. So see you there.